If you are a U.S. citizen, a green card holder, or are still waiting for an immigration decision, then today's topic is really important to you. Many people are surprised to learn that there actually are situations where U.S. citizenship can be lost, and most don't fully understand how exactly those situations work. My goal today is not to scare or panic anyone, to frighten someone or create panic. My goal is to create clarity. When you understand the rules clearly, you will feel more confident, prepared, and empowered you more control over your journey. Hello, I'm Annie, and thank you for trusting me to serve you guiding these important conversations about immigration. Immigration is constantly changing, policies change, processing times vary, and new ones are added almost daily updates published. Sometimes even a small detail can make a big difference. In this episode, are we going to talk openly about losing U.S. citizenship, how it happens, who it affects, and what it really means. We also discuss important immigration updates that could impact applicants, families, employees, and students worldwide. As always, I would like to emphasize that this is not legal advice. I am not a government official or lawyer. I am here to explain information in a calm, simple, and supportive way, so you don't feel overwhelmed or lost in fear of chasing headlines or rumors. Many people think that nothing changes once you become an American citizen. You get your passport, you vote, you build a life, and it feels permanent. And while American citizenship is incredibly strong and well protected, the reality is a little more complex. Citizenship is taken very seriously under U.S. law, and that means that the process of obtaining it must be fair and lawful from start to finish. This does not mean that the government is actively looking for ways to grant citizenship to take off. It means that citizenship is considered valuable and should be done properly or granted. Before we discuss how citizenship can be lost, it is important to understand who even qualifies as a U.S. citizen. Some people are citizens by birth, or because they are in the United States or certain U.S. territories born, either because they were born abroad to an American parent who passed on their citizenship to them. Others obtain U.S. citizenship through naturalization. This means that they were not born in America but have gone through the immigration process, met residency requirements, passed exams, taken the EED, and obtained citizenship. Both groups are citizens. Both have constitutional rights and protections. However, there is one important difference. People who are citizens by birth usually have a very secure status. Citizens usually have a very secure status. In almost all cases, their citizenship cannot be taken away unless there has been a serious case from the start, identity or birth certificate fraud, and such cases are extremely rare. Naturalized citizens, on the other hand, have a documented immigration history, including applications, interviews, background checks, and affidavits. If the government later discovers that crucial information was deliberately concealed or falsified during that process, the law allows for a review. This does not mean that minor mistakes or misunderstandings will result in loss of citizenship. Revisions focus on intentional deception, not confusion, language issues, or honest mistakes. Most people never encounter problems or honest mistakes. Most people never have to deal with citizenship issues. The cases you sometimes hear about usually involve serious fraud, criminal deception, or actions that directly conflict with loyalty to the United States. With that in mind, let's start with the least alarming and most obvious situation, the voluntary renunciation of citizenship. The first way someone can lose U.S. citizenship is by renouncing citizenship. This is a personal and voluntary decision. Citizenship cannot simply be lost because someone is frustrated, moved abroad, or expresses dissatisfaction online. Renouncing citizenship is a formal process that takes place at a U.S. embassy or consulate outside the United States. The person signs legal documents, makes a declaration in which he or she acknowledges that he or she understands the consequences, and pays a significant amount of money. Once completed, it is final. People renounce their citizenship for various reasons. Some live permanently in another country, others want to simplify their tax return, and still others make the decision for personal or identity-related reasons. Whatever the reason, renouncing citizenship is always a conscious choice. After renouncing citizenship, a person loses the right to vote. Automatic entry into the U.S. is no longer possible, and a visa may be required to visit the country in the future. Simply living abroad, having dual citizenship, or spending years outside the U.S. doesn't seem like a loss of citizenship. The next situation is what makes many people nervous. That's why I want to explain it calmly. The government can grant citizenship in certain cases withdrawal, especially for serious women during the naturalization procedure. This becomes denaturalization mentioned. It doesn't just happen, and it isn't the result of small mistakes. Denaturalization procedure. This is called denaturalization. It doesn't just happen, and it is not the result of small mistakes. Denaturalization is usually intentional lies about important matters, such as false identities, hidden criminal records, or concealment involvement in violent or illegal activities. These matters are being dealt with by the federal court. The person in question is informed, has legal rights, and can respond. Nothing happens quietly or overnight. Evidence is assessed, arguments are presented, and judges make a ruling. Most naturalized citizens never have to deal with this, because during the entire process have been fair. Even if the papers were unclear or the English difficult, don't focus on honest mistakes. There is no due date for reviewing naturalization records, but that does not mean that the government is constantly looking for problems. Citizenship is protected, and reviews only take place when serious information comes to light. If you have followed the rules and told the truth, there is usually nothing to fear. Another point that can cause confusion concerns associations and activities after the obtaining citizenship. In very rare cases, citizenship may be questioned if someone is involved affects organizations that actively seek to harm or overthrow the United States throne. This is not about opinions, religion, peaceful activism, or cultural ties. It involves clear coordination with violent or hostile groups. Even then, cases are carefully assessed by the legal system. Living abroad, having strong beliefs, or maintaining cultural ties does not jeopardize citizenship. These laws exist for extreme circumstances, not for ordinary people live a normal life. Dual citizenship is another common concern. Millions of Americans have 2 passports, and the U.S. generally allows this. Visiting family, traveling, or maintaining cultural roots threaten citizenship not. Problems only arise in rare situations involving formal loyalty to another government or roles that directly conflict with U.S. interests, and even then, nothing is automatic. The most extreme and rare scenario involves betrayal. This only applies in cases of serious acts, such as working for an enemy government or supporting an armed uprising. These cases require lengthy investigations, federal courts, and clear evidence. Everyday political opinions, online posts, or studying abroad do not fall into this category. For people born in the United States, citizenship is special strong. In almost all cases, it cannot be taken away. Only in very rare cases, such as forged birth certificates or identity fraud, is it investigated. And those cases involve lengthy legal procedures, not sudden decisions. Now let's move on to immigration updates that affect many more people every day. USCIS is still working to clear backlogs. Some cases are processed faster, others slower, depending on location and category. Silence does not mean your case will be dismissed. That your business is active being processed often only means that your file is in the queue. Work visas, student visas, visitor visas, and family reunification all have different timescales. Planning ahead, staying organized, and responding quickly to requests helps more than panic ever will. Interviews are intended to confirm information, not to entrap people. Honesty is always the safest approach. Traveling with an ongoing business requires preparation, not fear. Bring documents, follow instructions, and answer questions calmly. Secondary checks are often routine and do not mean that anything has gone wrong. Immigration is more than just paperwork. It's about life, family, education, and dreams. Waiting can feel hard, and that feeling is understandable. Millions of people have gone before you on this path and ultimately achieved their goals. The most important truth to remember is this: American citizenship is powerful, protected, and cannot simply be taken away. The rare exceptions exist for compelling reasons and strict legal procedures. Being aware is important, but fear is not necessary. If this update has given you more information or reassured you, I'm happy. If you want to stay up to date on U.S. immigration, visas, citizenship, and travel, stay connected here. And if you have a question or experience, feel free to share it in the comments. Your story can help someone else feel less alone.